Hi and welcome to this Blueberry Markets video update with me, John Kibler, Head Currency Analyst. In this video I'm going to take you through the Forex market wrap, highlight the news this week and some key charts. So going over the news, what have we seen? Well, we've seen quite an interesting week. We started off with the RBA Governor Lowe speaking, and the RBA basically talking about future rate hikes, which has supported the Australian dollar recently, and we've seen Aussie being one of the strongest currencies at the moment with the New Zealand dollar. Moving on to Euro then, we saw the ECB hold interest rates at 0% and talk about their need for flexibility, talk about there is no real ideal opportunity to hike rates at the moment, and especially with the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, they want to keep things very flexible, so they can be able to adapt if they need to. We then saw inflation data out of the US. We saw a rise in inflation once more, which is going to put pressure on the Federal Reserve to hike rates. Now, initially when we saw this news come out, the dollar did drop a little bit, but now it's picked up again and it's rallied quite considerably, which is something we've talked about before this week. We then had some CAD data in here, really good CAD data. It was expected to jump anyway, but we saw a bit of a shock in the unemployment rate. It was expected to drop to 6.2%, but it actually dropped to 5.5%. Some really good numbers there in Canada, so the Canadian dollar gained some significant strength. Going through some of the charts that we wanted to take a look at this week then, so Euro, US dollar was one of those markets that we were talking about, looking for short opportunities around about the 1.1046 area. Price rallied into that area. We can see the two rejections with a real nice sort of absorption above these highs here, and then price dropping to the downside there. So nice little kind of double top pattern within that supply zone, where we were looking for those short sellers to come in. Price has now started to move back to the downside, causing another bearish week to form. Moving on to pound then. Pound was one of the weakest currencies for the past couple of weeks. We've talked about selling the pound continually. What we were looking at in the week ahead analysis video was price coming back to around about 133 before seeing that downside. Didn't get that momentum in the end. What we did kind of discuss was the fact that price could gap, retest, move to the downside like it did the previous week. What we did get again was a gap, price moved to the downside, come back, kind of retested that area, and then has continued to move south. But pound still very bearish. Despite the fluctuations in the dollar this week, pound has still remained fairly bearish. Crude oil then, I think the market, or a lot of investors, are looking at crude oil at the moment because of the volatility in this market and because of the surrounding issues with oil prices. I mean, we saw price come up to a really significant high point, but we started to see a rollover now. This has been quite a strong bearish week. We gapped higher, price came back down, filled that gap, retraced back to the swing highs and dropped considerably. Now we talked about crude oil in a video previously, talking about looking for further selling opportunities at higher prices. We haven't made it to those higher prices at the moment. Price has remained between sort of the 110 and 103s. If we were to break below this area though, I think we could see a push back towards the sort of $83 level. How likely that is at the moment, we don't know, obviously, because of the conflict in Ukraine. And what we did see was the International Energy Agency basically come out and say they would supply more barrels, adds more supply to the market, could basically decrease the demand, which could see prices move lower. So we're starting to see that start to form there. Obviously, there was some committed trader reports as well, kind of showing us that crude oil shorts are incredibly high at the moment. So we'll see what goes on with crude oil in the near future. The DAX 40 then was something we featured in the week ahead analysis video. We were talking about whether the Euro stocks will continue to fall because of the poor performance of the Euro lately. Price did bounce. It came up into our area where we were expecting those sellers to come back in. We did start to see a little bit of selling, but we haven't seen that kind of momentum that we did expect to the downside. So we'll be watching this to see if price can break back below these swing lows. If they can, then it could offer further shorting opportunities in the near term. So I hope you enjoyed the videos this week. I hope they were a big help. If they were, leave this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel to watch some more of our Forex trading content. And I'll speak to you in the next video.